All right. I don't know what happened there. Okay, these things scrolled across the bottom and the other thing came up early. Okay, got it the wrong way around. Okay, welcome everybody. This is Spin Legal with Invictus Legal LLP partners Peter Giblett and Angela Browne. You can contact us on 905-688-5598. Angela's at Angela at weareinvictus.legal, and myself, you can contact me by email at peter@weareinvictus.legal. At website, weareinvictus.legal. There you go. Okay, so just thought about this as we were doing something. My contractor ruined my property.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot. I hear about this all the time.
Yeah. How many times have you had that this week? No, not this week. Not this week. We've had these a few times over the years, right?
There's a few people who come into our office who've hired a contractor, allegedly well reputed, and they come in and they don't do the job. They wreck everything that they touch. They become King Midas in reverse. And
the irony here, of course, is that you get good contractors that do bad jobs and bad contractors that do good jobs. And whether they're a big corporate contractor or a one-man band organization, they can do good and bad work. Let's be honest about it, right?
Exactly. And many times, that unfortunately we don't have like a registry where we can check them out.
Yeah.
And all we can do is go to the Better Business Bureau, or we could do some chats with their family and friends and see who they hired and so forth.
Yeah.
Like star reviews on Google doesn't tell you anything because we all know they can be faked.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is there is an app out there called the Jiffy app, which is a primarily Toronto-based app, which can be used for telling whether a contractor is good or bad or indifferent. But just because somebody else has had a good experience with them doesn't mean to say you'll get a good experience with them.
Exactly. Especially if it's a new company starting out, or if they're in the process of growth or expansion. And sometimes the people they hire may not be as experienced as what you would have appreciated. So there's a lot of things that can happen. Right? Like there's such a shortage of trades out there for people who actually do the trades, and let alone do the trades well, that we're having some difficulties. So there's a lot of people who think, oh, I can do that. I'm a contractor. I can just go out and do this stuff. Well, and then they go out and then they mess up some jobs.
Okay. So be careful. Let's start at the very beginning, because if you own a house, it likely needs to be fixed.
Absolutely.
Right? Hey, I've fixed lots of parts in my house. I've even fixed electrical. Yeah, so there we go. In houses before. So
you're hired.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say I wouldn't go out bidding for a job. Just because I can fix my own electrical doesn't mean I'm going to go fix yours, right? Right. And the point being is I know my limits. Electrical, I know, I know how it works. Plumbing, not going to touch it with a 1,000,000-mile barge pole. I get a plumber in to do it every single time, right? That's the way I am, right? Okay, so you start off really with getting a good contractor. Now, this is likely a hit and miss situation. Not everybody's got people like Wayne who does our work. Basically, Wayne, my wife will just call him up and say, "Hey, Wayne, I need to do X, Y, Z." He'll pop along a few days later and says, "Yeah, I can do that. Maybe in 3 or 4 weeks' time," right? Gives her a schedule. It's going to cost X amount of money, and he doesn't even ask for money up front. Not unless, typically, for example, if we're buying tiles and he's going to do a tiling job, what we'll do is we'll buy the tiles. Right? It's only if it's really complex work that he will ask for money up front. Right? But that's because we know him. We've been using him for more than 10 years. So, you won't get a contractor like that. And I can't give you Wayne anyway, because he won't do he won't take on any work for anybody who he hasn't worked for before right now. He's semi-retired, right? But, you know, maybe you know people like Wayne, right?
Yeah. And people here, some people know contractors, maybe their uncle, maybe their brother, something who runs a company and
Yeah,
can do it. And some people are general contractors and they work for a company. And then in their shot job where they can go on weekends and maybe they can help you out. Hey, there's very many people like that.
yeah. And as I say, we talked a bit in earlier on about that app that you can get for Toronto area. I'm not sure how widespread that app occurs, but maybe that's a way of getting, being able to test whether somebody's any good or not,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but the challenge, let's be honest, the challenge of getting a good contractor, even if you were to say, hey, use Barney. He's the greatest. I've known him for years, and I call Barney up, and he takes an instant dislike to me and never does a thing right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
And then
It's a
there's things like
personality.
where you need a tiling job done or you need to have a plumbing job done. But then all Barney ever did was maybe work on drywall
Yeah.
or
Yep.
fix electricity or do something like
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So these are things that gets complex because you want to make sure that whoever you're hiring is skilled and has worked at the type of job that you need to do.
Yep. All right. One thing that has to be talked about: a lot of contractors want money deposited up front before they start the work. In fact, there's been a couple of people that have come to us where they paid 75% up front before a contract or more before a contractor will come and do their job.
And then they do a lousy job of it.
Yeah.
Or in some very bad cases, they just do a little bit and walk out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a point. That's a point, and we'll talk about those sort of things. And the how it can go wrong is, there's almost as many situations where it can go wrong as there are, failed contracts, right? Probably everyone is unique.
Yeah.
It would be nice to say that we've got Class A1 contractors and they're the best, and they never cock up, and you've got Class D-5 contractors who always cock up. The truth is a long way from that, right?
Yeah,
How it
they're
can
all in
go
the middle
wrong.
somewhere, and most of them middle around where they generally do good work.
Yeah,
But the problem is everybody makes mistakes.
yeah,
Okay,
and
everybody.
yeah.
But it
And the
doesn't
thing is,
necessarily mean that they're bad contractors because they made a mistake,
yeah,
but they still need to make it right.
yeah. And at the end of the day, for example, there was a contractor that that we heard about, dug up a hole in a garden in order to lay pipe in that hole. And of course, on the day that they needed to dig the hole up, not only did they slice through the cable cord, but they also it started raining, the hole flooded out, and the neighboring driveway collapsed because they didn't shore it up properly.
Yeah. And then they say, if you want me to fix it, then you're going to have to pay me this much.
Yeah,
And that's kind of like, hey, I know those types of tactics.
yeah. And here's the thing. So um, there's liabilities here, because obviously, if a contractor does something wrong, maybe it applies to your insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not an insurance related claim. It could be something else entirely. Maybe the contractor might well be covered by insurance.
Yep. And generally, insurance companies will cover alleged cases of negligence. Okay,
Mm,
so if you felt your contractor was negligent in some way, they would have insurance to help them not only defend the case, but possibly even help you, compensate you.
And there's also some things to be said about, okay, so let's move on to what to do when it goes wrong. Well, for example, if you've got actually, it's before we go to what to do when it goes wrong. I've got something that we need to. I'm going to push these ones down a little bit, and we'll cover some other issues first. So the duty of the contractor. So the duty of the contractor is that you've agreed either by a handshake or a written contract or something to a scope of work. The duty of the contractor is to come in on the start date, do the work, and complete it as expected. Now, you can define start and end dates for these things. You can define. You can say to a contractor, it's got to be done, in a specific way, or you can ask the contractor to use their best judgment in how it can be done. Part of the thing about having a contractor is that a contractor has skills, and if you don't have a specific idea about how your wall needs to be designed, you're coming in there. I want an archway through the wall with a semi sunflower in that archway. Right? Now, how you express that desire might well be something that you need to express to the contractor.
Yep.
Right. And now it may well be good enough that you're saying to the contractor, you tell the contractor verbally, I need X and Y and Z in this. And and by the way, the sunflowers need to be not necessarily golden paint, but gold, give the impression of gold color. Whereas the rest of the thing might well need to be white. If you want some color variation to your archway. And you might, so just giving ideas and putting down as much as you can is an important thing, because in fact, actually, contractors like my father, when he was working as a contractor, he used to get specifications, right? So they'd get these engineering drawings for the buildings that they were working on. Right.
Sometimes that would be part of what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. There needs to be, in some cases, you need to have a permit. Okay. Many times a contractor will help you get the permit and apply for it and get all the work done, that they need to do. Like specifically, like if you're adding rooms or an extension or some kind of thing where this is what you're asking them to do. So it depends on the type of work you're asking your contractor to do.
Yeah. And typically we're talking about permits there, and typically for a small job, you'll be typically the homeowner, the person responsible for getting the permit, whereas a large job might well be the contractor that's got the responsibility for doing the permit. For example, we've got a 3-floor building here, and there's building work going on the second and third floors of this building, and in that particular case, the contractor's responsible for getting opening the permit, getting all the permissions sorted, and closing the permit. Right. Might be similar for a homeowner, might not. Depends upon your situation.
Yeah. So just something like getting your roof fixed or getting your porch that's already there fixed. Yeah. And replacing some of the wood.
Likelihood in that situation. Likelihood in that situation is you probably don't need a permit. But for example, if you're putting a new gazebo in the back garden with underlaid electricity and watering pipes, etc., you might need a permit.
Yeah, or even a shed.
Yeah.
Right, because they're a new structure. Because they go after structures and they go after new things or in additions to your homes. Yeah. Or you want to widen your driveway or something like that. There's always reasons why they would require a permit.
Yeah. And okay, so one of the things you should also do is check the company or person doing the work. find out about them, see whether what sort of reputation they have as a homeowner. What do you know about them?
Yeah, exactly. The company, look it up. Do they have a lot of lawsuits against them? They have they ever had any issues where somebody goes to the Better Business Bureau and complains about them and unresolved issues?
Yeah.
Do they have people complaining about them? Did you ever talk to your friends, family members, or others and ask them what their experiences were with that contractor? And if
Yeah.
someone tells you don't hire them because came in and they asked me for $10,000 and they walked out. So things like that, talk to people
Yeah.
first. And sometimes just ask around to see if anybody knows of a good contractor, that does the type of work that you want them to do. Not every contractor does all the work that you need.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Some of them only do drywall, some of them will do painting, some of them will do a lot of construction type work, like say if your flooring needs work, or
Yeah.
your patio needs work, or there might be a plumber where they would just go through your plumbing system, drill things through, send your camera through, snake it. So there's a lot of different types of contractors that specialize in this type of field. Some of them you need to have a ticket.
Yeah.
So make sure that these people have a ticket.
For,
And require one.
yeah. And what you mean by that is, for example, a plumber must be registered.
Yeah, they must be a licensed plumber.
Yeah.
Same as like our licensed electrician, or somebody who is a carpenter. There is a carpenter's qualification as well. So there's a number of different types of qualifications people have, that allow them to be able to do the work. And some of them, and they get up there. If you get to be journeyman, get to be a master, like master electrician is, you can actually be a general contractor, and you can supervise other work. And you're also called upon sometimes to go and check the work,
Yeah.
of other contractors. So this is the kind of thing that you want to make sure that you're hiring somebody who is capable, has a history of doing it, and some of the company names you might be familiar with that have been around a while, and that's something you might want to check too.
Yeah.
So this is how you want to make sure. And actually, and also sometimes there's individuals who go out. Maybe they used to work for a company, but semi-retired, and
Yeah.
they're good at what they do, and they're kind of a jack of all trades sort of thing, and they can help you with stuff. I used to work for a fellow who did a lot of windows and siding, and he did a terrific job with people. It was just him and his son. That's it.
Yeah.
And his wife handled the books and the marketing. And the thing is, he was doing this well into his 70s, and he did a great job for people. And someone like that, you might want to check, just find out where he was before, ask questions, and they should be straightforward about what they did and how they got their skills doing what they did, and this is the type of thing. So it's not always big companies that are going to be best. Sometimes it's smaller ones.
And again, even if you pay a good company, a big company, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the best of work. But we'll come back to that one in a little while. So, for example, one of the things that also should be said is don't overpay your deposit. So, I always used to come with in England, didn't pay more than a 10% deposit. My contractor that I deal with a lot, typically what will happen is I will go, he's doing a tiling job, let's say, I buy the tiles, he fits them.
Yep. So that's what you do. If they're going to ask for more than 10%, ask them why they need that.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I have to get parts. I have to get the tiling. I have to get the wood, the lumber, all that stuff. And I says, okay, can you give me the specs that I need?
Yeah.
And then you can go shopping at Home Depot or Rona or whatever. Go get it, and then bring it back, and then put the guy to work.
But again, something like if you're concreting a driveway, let's say, there might well be an upfront cost because of the fact that the having
Somebody else applies.
well, I was going to say having concrete delivered may
Mm-hmm.
cost, and there might be an amount for the concrete delivery truck. So whilst the actual work in itself, it may well be, you may well end up spending 50% because it's going to, you still need to pay a lot for the concrete truck to come.
Yeah, because they'll come in not only with the concrete, but with gravel and
Yeah.
other types of things. So these things, they cost the
money.
contractor money.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? And all they do is overlay, grade it, and then they put it over,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is why like some of them, it might vary depending on what it is. Or if you're looking for windows, okay, these windows have to be exactly per your order.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? And they would have to be, they'd have to go back, in particular if you hire a company that has windows and you want to get the windows, because they have to measure your size, fit in your space, so they could put the window up.
Oh.
Yeah, and that kind of thing. So there might be some money that you have to pay for that.
The interesting thing is, if you get windows from a big box store like a Home Depot or or any of the other large home box stores like Browne or whatever, you may not have to put a lot of money down, because they will order the windows. They will have, you'll have to put an amount down for the windows that you'll buy at the store normally, but you don't have to put any money down until the actual the job, all the windows have been installed, etc. You might not have to pay for the installation until it's complete.
Yeah, because the thing is, like somebody will come down and measure your windows and measure your space and so forth to make sure they're getting the right size and the correct type and so forth. And you also have a discussion with them about the types of windows, insulation, the type of filler within the glass, that type of thing. And they would go out and then they would say, okay, that's good. And once you select them, then they would go out and get that. And if you want them painted, then they'll have it painted. So this is the kind of thing that that these types of big box stores or other types of organizations will do for you. Then all they do is have somebody come down, they ship the windows down, and then somebody puts them in.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about earlier on really was about giving clear instructions. I talked about having that archway with the sunflower in it, the sunflower pattern in it, right? Clearly something like that. I have an idea in my head. You, the contractor, can't read what my head says. So I say I want a sunflower pattern in there. And you kind of go, oh, that would be nice. And what you're thinking and what I'm thinking are two entirely different things.
Yeah. Like they're not supposed to absorb what you're thinking by osmosis.
Yeah. This is part of the problem. See, to me, when I'm saying I want a sunflower in there, I'm really looking at a door frame that is semicircular at the top and that have like a sunflower, kind of a sunshine in the center with rays of sunflower coming out from it, but I also want to be able to see through the gaps between the sun rays.
Yeah, and sometimes contractors will have, say if you're asking to put windows and doors in, they will show you doors, they will show you windows, and then you pick styles.
Well, and that's actually an important thing, because if you go to the big box store, or even a specialist window installer, and you were to say, you go in the store and you say, I like this one, this is the right one for me. And when the person comes in and actually shows you how that one works in your house, they bring it out of the car with 2 or 3 of them, and you go, oh, that was the one I was looking at in the store, but I don't like number 3. I like number 1.
Yeah, right? Sometimes that's very important what they do. That's why the people,
because you're looking at it in
the windows for you, need to look at your house first.
Yeah.
Okay? They need to look at the color. They need to look at the space around it.
Yeah.
They need to look at the casing, all the stuff around it to make sure that whatever they're going to give you is going to fit.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not going to go in there and put the windows in and they're, something's wrong here.
Well, in fact, actually, one of the suggestions that we had when I had some windows installed a while back was that we were talking about vertical risers, and he said, "Have you thought about horizontals?" And he made a good argument as to why it should be horizontals, right?
And it's the size of the space you have too that also influences. And then if you also want a bay window, which is also a lot more complicated to put in, right? Because sometimes you can put a bay window in, but it's very complicated. So that would be a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Well, certainly, certainly that was true. I'd love to have had a bay window in one of the windows that we did. Never did.
I represented a window company for a long time. They had a factory and made windows and went and installed them. And they did a good job. They're probably more expensive in terms of their pricing structure. But whoever got them installed, they probably have it last a lifetime.
Yeah. One important thing, right, is insist on paperwork in writing.
Yep. Understand what the terms of payment are. Understand what they're going to do. Understand what their credit is, if there's any credit that they're lending. Okay. Sometimes you get financing, okay, through the same company that's doing the installation. Make sure you understand the terms, okay, because you have to sign up 2 different contracts for that, especially if someone comes by and sells you windows and say they're going to charge you $35,000 to put the windows in, and you don't have $35,000, but you're willing to finance it and you're able to finance it. So they're going to put a financing agreement with it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you have to pay attention to, and also timing when they're going to come to put the windows in.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come in a blizzard.
Well, that's a perfect solution, a perfect thought, actually. And there's a number of things. So one of putting the windows in the blizzard. Maybe there are certain things they can do in the blizzard, certain things they can't, right?
Some of them they'll put certain things over your window so that you have protection until weather clears. Okay? And then when the weather clears, they can come back and put them up.
Yeah. And the other sort of thing that you might encounter is that, for example, you're about to dig a hole into your front garden because you need pipework changed. When the heavens open and you get a downburst for 3 days, well, it might change the entire situation, mightn't it?
Yeah. And this is one of the things. So you would expect your contractor to be able to deal with such contingencies.
Yeah.
Right? They have enough experience. They've done rain before. They've done snow. They've done this sort of thing before. So they're quite educated about what some of the issues are, and they can work around it.
Yeah. And one of the reasons we insist upon paperwork in writing, because there's no better proof of a contract than one in writing.
Yeah. And when you read it, and if they're talking about the scope, make sure it's clear. Yeah. Make sure it's inclusive of all the work that you want to have done, and also limited to the work that you want to have done.
Yeah. And you see, we might go into a handshake deal on something, right? But without it's not quite the same as doing the paperwork.
Yeah, because I've had situations where this contractor said, "Oh, you're going to need this. Hey, just put this in. You need backsplash, better backsplash, and so forth." All he wanted was just to have his kitchen replaced.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. Bring the cabinetry in, put it in. That's fine. That's all he wanted. But all the backsplash, everything went in and everything went in. Of course, that's going to cost more money. Okay?
Well, actually,
the homeowner should have said, "Halt it! No, no, no." Okay, because they may want to get the backsplash done in some other way. So this is why it's very important to be very clear what you want to have.
Yeah. And we were talking about giving clear instructions and insisting on the paperwork in writing. In reality, those are 2 sides of the same coin in reality, because part of giving clear instructions is often writing them down on paper.
Yeah.
What I was saying about that shape that I wanted in my arch window, in my arch doorway, draw the shape. Make it clear the shape, what you're going to do.
Draw it. And if you have an illustration, or say if you saw it somewhere else, have a picture of it.
Yeah.
Right? And then see if it can be done, and ask the contractor if that's possible to do.
Yeah. And for example, one of the things you might well say in that regard is that you deal with your contractor and you ask you pick it out of a magazine. You got this nice glossy magazine, and you say, "I've always wanted one of those." So you talk to your contractor. The contractor says, "Yeah, I can do that for you. It's $15,000." Or I can put the door.
You also have to test the walls. Sometimes you have to be careful whether that's possible to do that with a wall that you have.
Yeah. Right? I was going to say, you could go to the contractor and he says, "I can do that for you. Absolutely, I can." $15,000 more than the last job, more than what I quoted.
Exactly. And you have to be very careful. And are you willing to spend that much?
Yeah.
So look at your budget. Make sure you budget yourself carefully. And you may want to talk to them about your budget and where your limits are. Spend about 10% more if they're going to be adding on things.
Yeah.
Okay? But not much more than that. Okay? Provided they stay within scope and you stay within scope.
Yeah. And again, when
prices go up, sometimes suppliers are short of supplies of type A doors, but they can give you type B doors. We've encountered that when we had our office fixed upstairs. So we've had to purchase certain types of doors that we didn't order. We ordered more expensive doors because these doors weren't available, the earlier ones.
Yeah.
And then when they got the new ones in, then we had to pay twice as much. Hey, things happen, and the contractor doesn't have total control of that.
Because in fact, actually, that sort of thing, you got trouble in the store, right? Okay, moving on quickly to what do you do when it goes wrong?
Oh, yeah, and it can go wrong in all sorts of ways. Sometimes you can say, what could go wrong?
The truth of the matter is, when it comes to contracting, when it's from the simplest little plumbing job to building, restyling your entire house, there's almost anything that can go wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've heard of a person who just wanted a plumber to come in and fix a leak, and then the whole thing just flooded.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
This was not the plumber didn't do anything to cause it to be flooded, but there was something with the toilet.
They basically, typically in that situation, you've got it's like, I just want to stop the drip underneath the sink. And what the plumber says, "Yeah, I can do that for you." And what you don't realize is that the entire pipework under the sink is about 1/10 of a millimeter away from just exploding.
Yep, and you have to turn off the water first before they can fix anything.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that and most plumbers they would know all that stuff, and they would know where to look.
Oh yeah.
Turn off the water.
Again, this sort of thing can happen. So these sort of things can go wrong, but a good quality contractor is going to do what it takes to actually fix it. So you should always speak up quickly if there's a problem. And you should understand before the job even starts who to talk to should anything go wrong.
Yeah. Is there a foreperson who's supervising the site? Yeah. There's often
what's Joey's phone number? Because I know Joey's the foreman, right?
Yep. Yeah. Because sometimes you have your site supervisors who go to different projects. So your contracting firm might have 15 different sites that they're working on each day.
Yeah.
And then your site where they have their 5 people, and there's somebody who's at the head of that who supervises and makes sure the jobs gets done.
And just because Mary sold you the windows doesn't mean she's the supervisor of the installation.
Right. She might just be a salesperson.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So know who to talk to.
Very important. So when the contractor shows up, that's when you say, okay, now who is going to be responsible for the job? Who's going to be
Yeah.
overseeing the job?
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe says, okay, this is me, and he hands you a business card.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's who you talk to.
Yeah. And the role of the contract is important to know, because pretty well everything we've been talking about here is about contracts. Whether you're shaking the hand or writing it in contract, it is a contract. So the contract lays down certain things that, between the 15th and 21st of May, they will build this, and we'll put it to these specifications. And if there's a problem, whatever might happen, right?
Exactly.
There's,
So, I mean, this kind of helps you. And then there's different things, who to contact if there's a problem.
yeah,
And many companies who have good reputations and who believe in customer service, they will come back and like, especially if you speak up quick enough and they say, look, this thing is still leaking. I'm still having problems. Or when the plumber came in, I've got a hole in the wall now at the back. And he says, can you do something about it? Somebody will come over and they'll fix it.
yeah. One of the biggest problems that we've gotten, or at least we're contacted about, is the contractor walking out on the job.
Oh, yeah, that happens
Right?
sometimes, very
Yeah,
frequently.
yeah.
We've had actually
We get it a
sometimes,
lot.
yeah, sometimes it's actually fraudulent for the contractor to walk out, where they collect your $10,000 and then they walk and get hardly any work done, hey, or they deliver the cabinets and just disappear. You can't
Yeah,
find them. Things like that. There were charges against people, and these people actually came into my office and asked for payment for me to go after people for payment. But they were so suspicious. I just told them no. I think I just have to check something first, and because then I heard that they were in the paper that they were being chased,
mm-hmm.
and then eventually the police got involved.
Yeah,
And this was unbelievable. It's not common for large groups of people to get charged, but it does happen. We
yeah,
hear it a lot on Marketplace. We hear it a lot on the news. Hey, and the fraud squad from police departments or OPP, we can see these things. But
yeah,
however, most of the time when a contractor walks out, a good part of the job is being done, and it's been done, and then there's a dispute of some sort,
yeah.
and the
And
contractor gets frustrated and walks.
yeah, and
So
as
they either be asked to come back, you got to give them a chance to finish the job, or or they can pay somebody else to do it. So sometimes that's why we take them to court and we get someone else to do it to complete the job that was originally intended.
yeah, and sort of typical sort of things that you get is, at least when you've got lawyers involved and legal people involved, you've got substandard work, incomplete work, or the other thing is adding extras.
Yep.
Hey, that thing I did in the bathroom. Well, this is an ideal corner for the sink. And really, you'll regret it if you don't put the sink in today.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I can do you a nice deal on sinks. Only 2,500 for this sink. Only 2,500. You'll never get that. You take it to the bank. You will never get that in Home Depot, right?
Then you go to build it again, Ron, and then you find a cheaper sink for $1,500.
Or even cheaper sink for $150.
Yeah. So I mean, these are things that people have to consider. Shop around.
Yeah.
Especially if you be buying your own stuff.
Yeah. And in fact, actually, that's a lot of what we do with my contractor. He'll tell us, okay, it will say, how much square footage do I need of tile for this particular job? He'll measure it up and he'll go, yep, you need 85 square foot.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you go in, pick a type of tile you need.
Exactly.
And if it's for a bathroom or kitchen, make sure it's waterproof and water resistant.
Yeah.
And then you put all that stuff in, and then your job's done.
Yeah. And so I come up and it's, you need 85 square foot. Okay. I bought 95 square foot because that's, you don't buy under, you always buy over. And the rule of foot and we're out of legal terms, but the rule of foot is about 15 to 20% extra. But anyway, one of the things you've got to be wary of is these
Sometimes
three areas
damaged or something like that, so you have some extras.
Yeah. When it comes down to issues on contracting, you've got substandard work, incomplete work, and adding extras, which are all equally applicable to taking legal action.
Yeah, like that one case I had with adding extras. This guy insisted on doing the splashing because he just the splash on the back. So this caused issues, and my client did not want the splash on the back because they intended to do this themselves. And they had a friend of theirs who was able to do this, and they just wanted to do it like their kitchen that they saw.
Yeah.
When you see someone coming in, all they wanted was a cabinetry. Get the cabinetry installed, get it done, get the plumbing attached to it. Fine, everything works.
Yeah.
Then go get the other guy to do the splashing and another person in to do the tiling. So, I mean, this was what they wanted, but this person insisted on doing all of this stuff, and they charged them a lot of extra money for that.
Yeah.
Because that was outside of the scope of the work.
Yeah. And essentially, yeah, exactly. So whether you're adding extras, whether you're dealing with substandard work, incomplete work, or adding extras, there's always potential for legal action to be taken.
Yeah, and that's pretty bad because like it is hard, to deal with these things because like especially if it's a contractor that like if you hire your brother-in-law because you know that he runs a contracting company and then he comes in and does this. My guess is don't hire family.
I would say so, the same. And I learned a long time ago, don't even advertise to family.
Yeah, because that's because if things go wrong, then the whole family tree is now destroyed.
And essentially, the whole point about all of what we've talked about to date is that in reality, if you're going to take legal action, there's certain steps you're going to have to take. And those steps are probably the same, very similar, whether you're going to small claims court or superior court. The rules are pretty much the same.
It's depending on the value of the job.
Yeah, the value of the job that matters, right?
Or the proposed value of the job. Like what you do is you do your research. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone comes in and does a plumbing job and things are messy, but you have to hire someone to come in and give an estimate, and the estimate is still within small claims limits. Then you go to small claims court.
Yeah.
Or if it's a huge thing where they've done a lot of damage to the whole structure of the house.
Yeah.
And it's falling apart, then it's probably going to be superior court.
Yeah. For example, you wanted some nice marble add-ons to the fancy staircase that you've got in your 6-bedroom house. But what happened is the staircase just fell down.
Yeah.
Because it was badly done. Right. Mm-hmm. Now you're probably a superior court type matter. Right?
And I've seen some of these cases where they've ended up in superior court.
Yeah. And your plumbing issue is more likely to end up in small claims court.
Yeah.
So where you take your legal action may be dependent upon the amount of money that's essentially owed. Yeah.
And the value of the work that should be done or should have been done.
Yeah.
By that particular contractor.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that I'm hoping that will help anybody who's had problems with contracting to figure out what they should do next. All right. So, if it's below 50,000, go see a paralegal, get the small claims action moving. It's a lot faster.
Yeah, the vast majority of these things that we see, tend to be below 50,000.
Yeah. If it's above 50,000, there's a lot more detail in it. There's a lot more steps you have to go through, but the principle's the same. You have to start the action within a 2-year period and, take the action and complete the actions through the courts.
Yeah. And very often it's stuff like where I've seen Paul Davis company involved with a case where the case was almost 200,000 because there was a big mess. Right? Well, Paul Davis had to come in and do all this work, all the sealing, all the redoing of the walls, all this
Yeah.
getting rid of all the mold and the water problems, everything. And it was a lot of work. It was a 3-story house.
Yeah. And one of the problems, of course, is that when you've got issues that are coming under a contract, you know, problems that relate to a contract, and this is a contract situation, you have a duty to mitigate the problems.
Yeah, you have a duty to mitigate the problems. Like if your toilet's running, the thing's overrunning, and hey, clean up as much as you can.
Yeah.
Get
All right.
as much things cleaned up, cleared up, so that things are not going to cost you as much.
All right. And it's been a pleasure working with you and talking with you about this contract, you know, contractor related issues. And as I say, well, I will give my advert about Invictus Legal. Call us on 905-688-5598. Email Angela with angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself using peter@weareinvictus.legal. Our website is weareinvictus.legal. Okay. And of course, with everything we deal with on the show, Angela, take it away.
So what you heard today in Spin Legal is, whether it's this show or another's in a series, it is not legal advice. What we told you today is not legal advice. Everybody's situation is different. If you need specific legal advice, then please contact a paralegal or lawyer. And we certainly hope that you would come to see us at Invictus and talk to any of us. There's 6 of us here. So you would probably get somebody who would be working with you. And just as we can give you an opinion and that sort of thing. And then hopefully something can be done about it that can help you.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and basically, if you've got an issue like this, a contractor issue, it's usually pretty serious. Get some legal advice. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And don't go to Facebook University.
Absolutely not. All right. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And we'll see you next.